Hi, my name is Natalie Bird and I'm 17 years old.
Hi, my name is Alexi Bird and I'm 14 years old.
I'm allergic to eggs, peanuts, nuts, sesame, and shellfish.
I'm just allergic to eggs.
And we're both in the egg desensitization program.
We started with the powder and now we're at the step where you eat muffin parts. And I think it's better because they taste better.
I also think they taste better, but I also like the muffins more because you can visually see an increase in your progress and how far you've gotten.
So today we're going to be making muffins for egg allergies. The recipe is pretty easy. I'll start with mixing the dry ingredients. So I'll start by the 1 1/4 cups of white flour. I buy regular white flour that they sell anywhere in Montreal, so Five Roses or Robin Hood. There's no traces of nuts or sesame that my daughter is allergic to, so this flour is good for us. So 1 cup and 1/4. They told us we had to be very exact with the measurements, so try to be very careful to get everything right. The next dry ingredient is 1/2 cup of sugar. Again, sugar, just any regular sugar. Has no traces of anything except for sweet, sweet goodness. Perfect. Okay. 1/2 cup of sugar. Then we need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I use the Magic baking powder. There's fancier ones that you can get, but this one's good enough. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder. The nice thing about this recipe is that there's nothing that goes in it that's like special or things you wouldn't use in anything else for baking. I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of salt, it says. So I'll add that. Then I mix the dry ingredients before I start putting in the wet ones. It's like regular baking. Mix it well. Okay, then I start adding the wet ingredients. Okay, so I first will add 1 cup of milk. So my kids don't have milk allergies, nor are they lactose intolerant. So the recipe actually says to use lactose-free milk, but my kids don't have lactose issues, so I just use regular Quebon 2% milk. It works fine for them. So 1 cup of milk. Then there's 1 tablespoon of oil. So for the 1 tablespoon of oil, I use avocado oil because it doesn't have any taste, but you can use any kind of cooking oil that you have that is safe for your kids or for you. Okay, then it says 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I get my vanilla extract at Costco. I've never seen vanilla extract have anything that's not allergy friendly for my kids. Of course, I read the ingredients every time, but mostly it's okay. Okay. And then we check to make sure we haven't forgotten anything. So 1 cup of milk, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 large egg. Okay, so this is the weird part. For after having baked for 17 years with no eggs, this is weird. So the recipe calls for 1 egg, and an egg I used. And I'm very careful not to touch anything with my hands. I go and wash my hands to make sure I'm not spreading the egg anywhere. Okay, and yeah, and then I don't use my blender or my mixers. I have this specific spatula to make this recipe. It's probably overkill because it does wash well, but I prefer to keep the stuff that I use for the egg muffins separate in my house, just so that there's no cross-contamination that I don't know about, because the spatula didn't get washed well or something like that. So yeah, I just have this spatula and the scoop that I use to make the muffins. I use them only for this. I don't use them for other things at the moment. Yeah, so because I'm mixing it by hand, it's a little bit weird. It takes a little bit longer. Probably would have been much easier with the blender, but we didn't feel like getting extra paddles just to do this. But in any case, it mixes pretty well. It's pretty easy. And it's a workout. Once I see that there are no lumps, and it makes it just a little longer. It's like really like baking any other cake. So the batter looks like this. It's got like a liquid consistency. Yeah, so it's when I feel it's ready. Again, try really hard not to drip any of the egg batter anywhere. Okay, and so when it comes to the muffins, the recipe with the 1 egg makes 10 muffins, which is weird because there's 12 compartments for the muffins in the muffin tin, right? So, but you have to make 10, and you have to try to make them pretty equal. So what I've realized is that this kind of muffin scoop that has this like little paddle that scoops the batter is almost the perfect size to make 10 equal muffins out of this recipe. So I just basically scoop a full scoop of the batter, and then I put it into the muffin tins one at a time, and I try as hard as I can to make sure that I'm scooping up roughly the same amount every time. So the first time that I had to make this recipe after the kids were taking the eggs in pill form, it was very hard because the pill form is highly, highly exact. My kids started at 0.2 milligrams of egg, which is just a tiny, tiny amount of egg. And that felt so clinical to me that when I first had to make the muffins, I was very worried that I was scooping, 10 milligrams more batter into one muffin versus the other. So that was very uncomfortable for me, especially having done the previous steps before that were so exactly measured. Yeah, so I spoke to the nurses and they said, just try your best to make the muffins an even size. And even you can see now here, I'm probably gonna struggle because it seems like I had enough batter to make 9 muffins of roughly the same size. So I'm gonna transfer. First, I'm gonna do a really good job of scooping all of this batter into my last muffin shape. So as you can see, I've got one muffin that's really tiny right now, and I'm gonna keep scooping and get as much of the batter in as I can. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, very scientific by eye, I'm gonna try to kind of see, okay, which ones of the muffins got more batter than the others, and then I just transfer. My hands are clean, so yeah, I just transfer some of it to make sure that they're as even as possible. And it would have been great, you know, if everything worked out perfectly, but this is real life, and in real life things don't work out perfectly. And so this is what I've been doing to try to get the muffins to be the same. So maybe you'll have to do the same. So again, you have to remember that this is one egg that's split across 10 muffins, and then at the moment my kids are eating 1/8 of one muffin. So you try to get as close as possible to them being exact, but I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? So in a home situation, so to me they look pretty even at the moment. So that's where we're keeping it at. So we've made our muffins, we've made our recipe, and we have to cook them at 350. So I'm going to pop them in the oven. Am I worried about the eggs contaminating the oven? Not really. I really hope that everything kind of burns away. So nothing, my kids have been eating stuff that's been baked in the oven afterwards, so no problems there. So I'm putting them in, and I'm going to put them in for 30 minutes. Okay, the muffins are ready. Pull them out. They look like this. As you can see, they're all roughly the same size. And so that's pretty much it. I wait for them to cool down, and then I store them in a plastic Tupperware container in the fridge. The reason why I put them in the fridge is because they keep for about a week, and also it makes the muffin papers a little bit easier to remove. Like if I were to take one out right now, the muffin paper is pretty stuck to the muffin, but after you refrigerate them, it makes the muffin paper easier to peel. So that's it. It's really simple. At the moment, the kids are at the step of the program where they have to eat 1/8 of the muffin. So there are 10 muffins that have 1 egg, and the kids have to eat 1/8 of such a muffin every day. So I peel the little paper. Sometimes it gets a little stuck to the muffin, so you just have to peel it very carefully. But the longer the muffins stay in the fridge, the easier the paper becomes to remove. Yeah, so peel the paper away. Okay. And then to get to the 1/8, I have to take the muffin and I have to cut it in half. Okay, so that makes 2 halves. Then I take each half and I cut it in halves again to make a quarter. And then I take each quarter of the muffin and I cut it into halves again. And that makes the little 8s that the kids have to eat every day.